Hi, everybody. It's a special edition of the weekend edition of Proline. Big Al and Scott will be with myself on the regular weekend edition of Proline, where we get into a lot of Super Bowl props. Jim can't make that, but Jim Feist is with us right now because I know you've got a couple of things to talk about, Jim. One is some props that have got your interest as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, and also a tremendous offer for the weekend. So let's hear about that first.
Well, yeah, Dave, I got a Saturday high roller parlay. This is $1,000 value. I mean, incredible. My high rollers have been steaming. I mean, really steaming, rocking and rolling. And on Sunday, I've got a Super Bowl winner and two high value prop bets. The whole thing, $10. Wow. $10. You get the high roller parlay, $1,000 value, and you get the Super Bowl winner and two high value prop bets. And the props, I'm really excited about the props. You can make a lot of money with these props. The amount you can bet on them is low. It's restricted. Why is it restricted? Because they don't want to lose all their money on these things. So you can't go in and bet $5,000, $10,000 on them. You're down at the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, maybe up to $1,000 risk on them. Because the books are wide open, vulnerable, you can't make strong lines on all these props. So this is really valuable. High roller parlay, $1,000 value, plus the Super Bowl winner and two high value prop bets, all for $10. The number to call is 1-866-841-1655. I'm really excited about this, Dave, and I think everybody out there should get on it.
All right. Well, let's talk. Speaking of props, you promised a couple, or at least something that the viewers can take a peek at and maybe make a few bucks on. What do you got?
There's thousands of props out there, so to go through them, we'd have to have a 6-hour show. But let's look. Let me tell you how I'm looking at this game. The game's playing indoors on a fast track. Now, granted, Dallas played there, and different teams, they're a different team, but every game they played at home went over. Now, granted, the last 6 Super Bowls, 5 of them have gone on under, and the one that went over in the last minute. So there's a lot of under money. However, there are no real powerful Super Bowl defenses this year. In the past years, we've had defenses that allowed under 10 points per game. We don't have that this year. We have a couple of really good ones in these two teams, but it's not overpowering defensively. I look for Pittsburgh to be able to run the ball some, maybe get about 150 yards rushing in the game. Both teams are going to throw the ball a lot, though, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on Rodgers because they don't have the ability to run the ball against Pittsburgh's defense as Pittsburgh has against the Green Bay defense, in my opinion. So what happens here is you put a lot of pressure on Rodgers. They're going to throw a lot of blitzes at him. He's going to have to do a lot of scrambling. There's a couple props out there that I like that actually favor Rodgers in this spot. There's 4.5 number of rushes by Rodgers. I think that's going to go over. I also see the number 18.5 yards for Rodgers scrambling. I think that's going to go over. Now, why I think that is because they're going to throw a lot of blitzes. He's going to have to get outside the pocket. He can move pretty well. He's got good feet. He's pretty quick. He's going to pick up some yardage. So I like both of those to go over. The passing, they have those numbers up pretty high, so I'm not going to go with the passing too much. But Dave, do you see any out there you want to discuss?
Well, I've got one more that I'll save for when I'm speaking with Big Al and Scott. But actually, one of the ones I like is the over on the rushing yards as well, the over 18.5 rushing yards. Excuse me, on Aaron Rodgers. Look, he's going to have to run in this football game at times because LeBeau's going to be putting together a lot of blitz packages where he's going to have pressure and he's going to have to take off and run. I think at some point he breaks a couple for some positive yardage, and I think he easily goes over 18.5 yards. I'd be surprised if he's not 30 plus in this game. So I think that's a pretty good play, Jim.
I agree with that, and as I said, and I'm looking at some sack props also. Roethlisberger holds the ball a lot, and he doesn't get rid of the ball very quickly. He holds on. He's a big guy. He's hard to bring down, but Pittsburgh knows that he's going to hold the ball. They know he's going to lose some yardage on sacks. There's a sack prop out there, Packers over 2.5 sacks. I can't, with Don Capers, he's going to love to unleash the blitz against Roethlisberger. He's going to go down several times in the game. 2.5 is not a bad number. I think we easily get to 3 and maybe 4. That doesn't really stifle Roethlisberger though, because they kind of have that in their projections as to how he plays. Yeah. He's not a quick release guy, and he's going to stand there and take a lot of punishment, and takes 3-4 guys to bring him down sometimes. But I like that to go over the total.
All right, well, there's a little bit of a tease on a couple of things that Jim likes. Take advantage of the offer and get involved. It is a terrific high roller offer. Jim, I know you've got to run today, but we will get back at it again next week. And meanwhile, stick around because we'll be coming at you shortly with the expanded edition of Proline, the Super Bowl viewing. Thanks, Jim. See you later.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for coming in early so I could do this.
Hi, everybody. It's the weekend edition of Proline. It's the Super Bowl edition of Proline. I'm Dave Koken. You're seeing Big Al McMorty and Scott Spreitzer with me right now. I already did a segment with Jim Feist, who couldn't make it for this round table, but we've got a lot of props to talk about, some great offers this weekend. I will start with mine because it's a big one. It's my 32nd annual college basketball game of the year going on Saturday. Found a spot I absolutely love. Had just a monster record on this game over the years. It's going to win again. Now the game's going to be sold online at ProLineTV.com for $99. I think it's worth way more than that, because if you know what to do with a game of this magnitude, you're going to be betting more than a small amount on it, obviously. However, here's something that's set up so those of you who don't play real big can get in on this and get this big game. And those of you who do play big get an awesome guarantee. $25. And I'm going to guarantee that the game's got to get the money, or you're going to be on board free for the rest of the season, right through the conference tournament. It's going to include those as well. So awesome guarantee, and it's only $25. Number to call is 1-866-841-1665. That's 1-866-841-1665. The game that only comes once a year, my college basketball game of the year. Make sure and make the call to get in on this. Looking at what you got, Al, I mean, these Vegas strip moves continue to be money in the bank. It's that simple. People play them, and then they pick up the money.
Yeah, they've been on fire the entire season, Dave. We cashed our first 14 this year in college and pro football. Then the streak became 20-1, and then 28 out of our first 33. Got off to a great start as well in basketball. We just continue to win. And we have the next 7 days, NBA, college basketball, plus the Super Bowl. And it's just $49. That's $7 a day for our famous Vegas strip move plays, football and basketball. Only $49. Call toll free 866-896-1628. That's 866-896-1628. We've been getting a record number of calls all season for our Vegas strip moves, and we're going to just wrap it up this football season with the Super Bowl winners plus basketball. 866-896-1628. Get on board for the next 7 days.
You might be noticing that Scott Spreitzer is kind of rocking back and forth in that nice easy chair of his right now. And there's a reason. He plays his own signature annihilators. He gets in on those babies. And, they've been crushing the numbers, Scott. This is an annual thing for you, too. I mean, these are big plays, and they get the money.
Yeah, rocking chair winners, I guess you can call them. And, we brought these to the web about 3 years ago. We've hit 65% lifetime in college and pro football. And what we're doing is we got one a week, basically. It's a signature annihilator. It's $500 online. My next 3 in college basketball, which begins on Saturday, my next 3 are going to be just $49. $1,500 worth of annihilator plays for $49. All you got to do is call 1-866-896-1627. Also, you're going to get my Super Bowl side. You're also going to get the rest of my Super Bowl props at no additional cost. 1-866-896-1627. Again, the first play goes on Saturday in college basketball.
All right, so some good stuff out there this weekend for you guys to take advantage of and win. That's what this is all about. It's a great time of season in college basketball to really cash in. Obviously, however, there is a bigger game this weekend. Taking place in Dallas between Pittsburgh and Green Bay. We're going to take a look at some interesting Super Bowl props that we think you can bet on and turn a nice profit with. Scott, one of the guys who's, he's a veteran. He's a star. He's one of the better tight ends in the league, but he hasn't really been mentioned a lot in the discussion leading up to this big game. Yet, since he's gotten over his injury issues, mainly with the concussions, he balances the Pittsburgh offense talking about Heath Miller, this is a guy that Roethlisberger has a real good connection with. What do you got anything involving him in this game?
Yeah, I do, Dave. And Al, what I basically try to do when it comes to Super Bowl props is I want to find opportunities that can happen whether a team's winning or losing the football game. And, I don't like to have is so-and-so going to rush for a certain amount of yards? And because a lot of times it means, to me at least, it means that team has to be in control of the football game. In this particular instance, you've got Heath Miller, who tore up the Green Bay Packers in the last meeting. He had 118 yards in receptions. He had 7 grabs in that game. He had a long of about 27 or 28 yards in last year's meeting. And what Green Bay does is they try to protect the perimeter, try to protect against the wide receivers getting behind the defensive backs. And the one thing they do is they sacrifice the tight end. I talked about this in my Green Bay analysis of the NFC Championship game, and that's going to be the case here again. They're going to look to protect the wide receivers. They're going to look to protect against the perimeter passing game of Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, which means Heath Miller will be left open from time to time and will make his grabs. So I had 2 plays that I made on Heath Miller. I went ahead and grabbed the over of 3.5 receptions. He had 7 grabs against against Green Bay last time they played. He had 5 grabs against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, had a couple of nice catches against the New York Jets. So I went ahead and grabbed over 3.5 receptions for Heath Miller. Also took him to go over a 14.5 yard catch for his longest catch of the game, because he has lit up the Green Bay Packers as recently as a year ago for a 27-yarder. Had a nice 20-plus yarder against the New York Jets in the game earlier this season, earlier in the playoffs, and I believe he's going to do it again. I think you're going to see Heath Miller probably get 6 or 7 throws his way, and I think one of them is going to be a play where he can bust it for at least 20 yards. So over 3.5 with Heath Miller as far as the amount of catches, and over 14.5 yards as far as his longest catch made in the contest.
He's really come on in terms of getting back into the flow of the Pittsburgh offense. There was a point in the season where he'd come back from his latest concussion, and I actually had him on my fantasy team and got rid of him.
Yeah, I did too, Dave.
Yeah, it looked to me, Al, like you know what, boy, he looks like he might be nearing the end of the line. And then all of a sudden, he turned back into Heath Miller again. I like that prop, Scott. I think he's going to be, I won't call him a focal point of the offense, but he's going to be that important safety valve that Roethlisberger is going to have to use. And now, I don't know what the long-term prognosis is for Miller, because he's had a lot of injury issues that are kind of dangerous. But guys, he's a very underrated football player as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I just look for things that can happen no matter who's winning the football game when it comes to the Super Bowl. And this is one of those situations. You just mentioned safety valve, and again, it fits right into what Green Bay allows a team to do, and that's to throw the football to the tight end. It's just a matter of him making the grabs as far as I'm concerned.
Al, I know when talking before we started doing this, you've got some thoughts as to how this game's going to flow. And based on that, you think there's some good opportunities in terms of the passing attempts by each of these quarterbacks?
Yeah, one of the things I'm doing I'm going to take the over in Ben Roethlisberger's pass attempts as well as the over in Aaron Rodgers' pass attempts. And, I'm looking at it as I'm going to get the money in at least one of them and maybe both. Because one of the teams is going to be trailing during the game and they're going to be forced to throw, especially if you can get, you don't know, maybe one of the teams is getting blown out and they're just airing it out the rest of the way. So you don't know which team's going to be trailing, but I know one of them will be. And I think if you take the over in Roethlisberger and the over in Aaron Rodgers, you got a heck of a chance to go 2-0 and at worst split out and go 1-1. You take a look at the game from 2009 when it was 37-36. They both aired it out, and 46 throws for Roethlisberger in that ball game. In 7 of his last 10 games, Big Ben's gone over the number of 31.5 in pass attempts, including 44 and 49 in games against the Jets and the Patriots during this regular season when Pittsburgh was trailing in that ball game. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of pass attempts by Pittsburgh, especially if they're trailing. They threw 32 against the Ravens in that game when they were trailing at the half. They were tied in the 4th in that ball game. So they didn't throw it much in the AFC game against the Jets because they were up by 21 points at halftime. But more often than not, if Pittsburgh's trailing at some point, you're going to see a lot of pass attempts by Roethlisberger. And, of course, with Rodgers, I mean, Jesus, you can't run on Pittsburgh 62.8 yards per game. That's the third best in the NFL since 1970. And Green Bay's ground attack was practically non-existent this year. You're going to see them go to 3, 4, 5 receiver sets, keep Starks in the backfield mainly as a blocker, and I just think the ball is going to be flying all day long. And the beauty of this one is they don't have to complete the passes. They just have to attempt the passes. So the defenses can still play well, and you can still win your bet. So I like the over in the 2 pass attempt props.
Yeah, that stat on the Pittsburgh rushing defense, I think it's led to actually a little bit of a value play on one of the Green Bay Packers getting over his number as far as rushing yards is concerned. But it's not one of the running backs, it's the quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers, the prop is 18.5 yards. I think he's in the 30s in this game. I don't think he's going to run by design a whole lot. I think he's going to run out of necessity. Dick LeBeau is going to throw a lot of blitz packages. They always do. And that's what they're going to do here, particularly since I don't think they really fear the Green Bay running game. Consequently, I think what you're going to see is Rodgers on the move. One thing we know is he's not too shabby at finding a way to avoid getting sacked and getting it down the field. So I think you're going to see at least 3 or 4 plays where Rodgers is able to make some positive yardage, get maybe 5 or 6 yards, or maybe stretch one to get a dozen yards on a run. I don't think it's going to take much for him to get over 18.5 yards. And to be honest with you, that's the prop I like better than any other in this football game. There's one other one that ties into that, though. I think that Green Bay has to at least try to run the football, just to sell the Steelers on the idea that they're not going to be a one-dimensional football team in this game. So there's another prop out there that I noticed, and I don't know that this one's going to win, but I think it'll tie easy enough. And if you get one gimmick play at some point, like an end around, it probably wins. That's the number of the Packers to have a rushing attempt. Well, Rodgers is going to have one. Starks is going to have most of them. That big fullback's going to be involved at some place, and they'll at some juncture, Brandon Jackson probably won't get anything because he's not that good, but he'll get a rushing attempt at some point. Well, that's 4 that I think are almost guaranteed to have a rushing attempt at some point. There may not be another one, but the number's 4. So, why not? It's almost like if there's one end around, if they get one of the receivers involved in some kind of a play, and I wouldn't rule it out by any means, that's going to be 5. I don't see how it would be less than 4. So to me, it's kind of like that situation where you have 2 betting lines in a game, and one of them's 1 and the other one's 2. Well, you take the +2 and you lay the -1. The worst you're going to do is push one and win the other.
Or Dave, how about a fake punt?
Yeah, that too. There's a variety of ways it can get there. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Packers do pull out a few gimmicks here, because this isn't exactly an easy offense to run a defense to run a base offense against. Along those lines, Scott, let's look at the field goals. I know you've done some stuff with the kickers in past Super Bowls and done well. Again, this is flow of the game. I don't know how easy it's going to be to get in the end zone this contest. Do you think both teams can move the ball enough to get themselves in position for a field goal, and did you find anything off that?
Yeah, you got Crosby against Swisham in this one, and Crosby's hit from 53 or 56 yards earlier this season. Swisham, he's had a real nice run kicking the football since he joined the team. And what I like about what Al just said and what you were saying about a possible fake punt, I think you'll see these two teams, taking a chance maybe on a fake punt or something of that nature, an end around, because they trust their defenses so much. So when you get a team, one of these offenses maybe drives to the 35, 36, or 37-yard line, they may be more inclined to attempt a field goal rather than punting the ball like some teams will do at that position of the field, because they trust their defenses so much, which means you can have an opportunity for a 51 to 55-yard field goal attempt. Now, I found 2 different propositions concerning the longest field goal made. I found one that said over 42.5 at -$1.45. Found another that said over 43.5 at -$1.15. And I just think that you're going to get a chance for either or both of these field goal kickers to kick a 50-yard field goal in this game. They both have the leg to do it. Crosby proved he could do it from 56. And again, I think when you get to that little kind of no man's range, where you'll see a lot of teams, punt the ball away and try to pin a team down inside the 10. Instead, because both defenses are so trustworthy, you're going to see a long field goal attempt for either one or both field goal kickers. So I went ahead and took it over as far as the longest field goal attempted in this football game. And by the way, I wanted to mention real quickly, I think I misspoke and said that Heath Miller had a 24-yard grab against the Jets was actually against Baltimore, in case I had misspoke earlier.
Okay, and I didn't even spot that, but that is accurate. The 43.5 at minus 115 is a better value too. 30 cents less vig for 1 yard. That's
I agree with that, Dave.
Yeah. Anything
Exactly.
else? I mean, you guys got anything else you want to jump on? I mean, that's. I don't play a lot of props, so that's it for me, basically.
Yeah, I don't either, but I think, Scott, I really like your prop there. I mean, especially with, Sweesom of the Steelers going 8 of 9 from over 40 yards this season. I mean, he's very consistent, from this number. So, and of course, Mason Crosby, 10 of 14 from 40 to 50 plus yards. And as you mentioned, he hit a 56-yarder. So not only do we both think that they'll attempt a long field goal at some point, you've got kickers who can make it. And both of these kickers, usually they kick outdoors. Now you go indoors. So
right.
I think that's a great prop, and I think, Dave, you're right. There's much better value at the 43.5 than at the 42.5.
By the way, guys, have you heard the news that apparently, finally, for years they've been posting odds offshore on not necessarily sporting events, things like the Oscar Awards and things like that. And it looks like they're finally going to start doing so in Nevada. I believe they're trying to get clearance on it now, not for big limits or anything like that. But is there anybody among us? I'm going to. Scott, you go to the movies all the time with your wife. Are you going to be our inside analyst in terms of handicapping the Oscars if we can do that?
Well, we'll definitely do that. We'll handicap the Oscars. I saw a movie at midnight, Las Vegas time last night, the new James Cameron movie, and I've got one for Worst Actor Award.
Is that Inception?
But what's that?
Is that Inception?
It's Sanctum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where they're climbing through the cave or whatever, and they get caught
right.
in a flood and whatever. But a fun movie. By the way, anybody who makes a 3D movie for no reason doesn't win an Oscar in my book, and that was the case in this particular movie. I hate wearing those funky glasses over my regular glasses, for one thing, and when there's no reason for it, it really gets on my nerves.
Hey, well, Scott, since you're into movies, I made a bet. I did not win at the Golden Globes. I took Jennifer Lawrence for Best Actress for her role in Winter's Bone, and big underdog, and I thought she could pull a shocker there possibly, but of course Natalie Portman wins for The Black Swan. Do you see Natalie Portman running away with it as well for the Academy Awards, or do you think there's a chance for an upset by Jennifer Lawrence?
She's rather pregnant, so I don't see her running away with anything. But anyway, I saw both of those movies. And I thought they both did a terrific job. I've got no problem with either one winning the Oscar in that one. And that role in Winter's Bone, first of all, for seeing this girl come along and have her first big major role was an outstanding job that she did. Black Swan with Natalie Portman, the way she plays this almost innocent little girl being thrown into the mix of the ballet scene in New York was absolutely incredible. She did a fantastic job. So as far as I'm concerned, people are probably out there watching this right now going, get to the football. The bottom line is I have no problem with either one winning. But and by the way, I was bowling. The whole Natalie Portman pregnant thing, I was bowling that night, okay? So.
Yeah, well, last year I made a really big wager on Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Bastards. I bet on him at 5-1 odds for the Golden Globes. Easy winner. By the time the Academy Awards rolled around, he was 25-1. You couldn't bet on it at that point. So there's sometimes you can find value on these Academy Award or Golden Globe bets, and you can steal money.
I'll make this bet. Ricky Gervais will not be hosting.
I'm not real good at that stuff. My money's still on Edward G. Robinson in Key Largo. I mean, I don't. All right, hey, let's recap the offers we have this weekend. Al, the Vegas Strip moves continue to make big money for everybody, and here's the opportunity to get them at a fraction of what they normally cost.
Yeah, it's our finest, it's our finest, as well as our final Vegas Strip Move football play of the season. Started off the season, Dave, 14-0, then 20-1, 28-5. We just kept rolling. And we're going to throw in a week of basketball as well. It's only $49, 7 days. NBA, college basketball, Super Bowl winners. You get it all. $7 a day, $49 for the next week. Call toll free 866-896-1628. That's 866-896-1628.
And Scott, it's your signature annihilators.
$500 per pop if you purchase online. You're going to get the next 3 for just $49 only if you call Smash Mouth Sports. It all starts with Saturday's college basketball. And again, I'm throwing in my Super Bowl side at no additional cost. It's all $49, $1,500 value. All you have to do is call 1-866-896-1627. And Dave, for you, it's 32nd annual college basketball game of the year. And I'll be on this one too. So just be sure to send it over email-wise. I don't want to have to pay for it, all right?
32nd annual. I will send it to you. 32nd annual, which is why, to me, Edward G. Robinson and Key Largo, probably not such a long time ago, it seems, or something along those lines. Now, even I wasn't around when he made that movie. That's 1948. Great movie, by the way. Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart. It's a good flick. Go get it off Netflix or whatever. It is my college basketball game of the year. There's some really good information on this game. I've been involved with one of these teams already on a big basis this year, so I really feel comfortable about getting involved with them again. It's $99 online, but take advantage of the special offer. Get it for $25 with the guarantee at 1-866-841-1665. Hopefully you guys will all enjoy the Super Bowl, not only Scott and Al and myself, but all you watching, and we'll be back on Monday to kind of recap what took place at this Super Bowl and move on, because college basketball really takes center stage after this. So everybody have a great weekend. We will talk to you on Monday. See ya.